What's going on? Welcome everyone to another episode of the Nuclear Reaction, episode 15. Hold on, let me move this thing because it's a little too big over on TikTok here. Why is it filling up the whole screen? That's weird. Looking at the TikTok and the YouTube chat, Kuma said something funny. You know, like my intro for the people that are watching on YouTube and X. My intro sort of like shows these like Antifa, sort of like far left, like overweight women with blue hair. And he was like, yo, she bad. Like, okay, come on, dude. That was pretty funny. I'll give him that. Although he's kind of like a hate watcher. I'll still give him that. That was pretty funny. I saw that comment, so. The post-apocalyptic world. Yeah, it's just right in my screen. The whole multi-guest. It's like, whoa. But welcome in, everyone. Just going to set a few things up, and we're going to get right into the discussions and a pretty interesting story that happened. Took place today, no? Yeah, it's kind of been popping off today. Zoran Mamdani with something, oddly ironic. He wants IDs for grocery stores. Now, leftists, they believe that their perspective is that food is a human right. Okay, food is a human right. Well, granted. Why do you want people to show an ID to consume food, which is a basic necessity and according to a human right, but not to vote in federal elections? That's quite the hypocrisy, man. That's quite the hypocrisy. You need an ID to get cheap groceries, but not to vote in federal elections that dictate the course of American history. Okay, Zoran Mamdani. That sounds like sounds totally normal. Yeah, we're going to get the topics here updated and a few other things, and we're going to get right into the discussions and the debates that are always entertaining and polemical. Sort of the nature of it, you know what I mean? Sort of the nature of it. Okay. Give us a second here, guys. Yeah, I got to adjust that in there, yep. Based black man. I'm always based, man. As I've said before, whenever people call me an Uncle Tom, I've reiterated, man, Uncle Toms are based, dude. Like, Uncle Toms are really based. I've not met a non-based Uncle Tom, right? It's just the truth. This guy's saying racism is systemic. Well, I could barely see that comment. It was cut off a little bit. Yeah, this multi-guest is right. Completely sort of. It's way too big. Yeah. Okay, perfect. See how big that multi-guest is? Okay. Yeah, how do I adjust this? What's up, Tango? 1 second, guys. Trying to see. Can I adjust this at all? It's like the multi-guest is covering the whole thing. That's weird. Don't tell me there's nothing I can do here with the multi-guest. You see, TikTok always has to mess something up, No, it's not the view from the chat not being fine. It's more about this multi-guest thing just being covering the whole screen. It's like, what? There's no way to move it or change it. Okay, we may have to restart the TikTok live, honestly. This is massive, and it's like not moving at all. Maybe we're getting some Qatari infiltration here of the live stream. Give us a second, guys. Qatari infiltration, man. The Qataris are back at it again. Yeah, it just won't move. Like, at all. That is despicable, man. Okay. You know what? Okay. There. There. To normality. Oh, shit. What the fuck? Okay, boom. Back to normality. Drop frames detected 29 minutes. Okay, perfect. We're gonna restart the TikTok live just so everything is working on their normally. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just the screen was super duper. The multi-guest thing was just in my face, wouldn't move. No, end that. You're gonna restart it. Ba 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 ba. Bam. Okay. Boom. We're up and running again over on TikTok. Let me just make sure a few things are working. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Let me try to see if I can change those chat settings. For spread. Just compact. Okay. Oh, comments, of course. High potential, sure. Do that. Okay. All right. Okay. Alrighty. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Maybe I want this here, actually. Oh. What screen? There we go. Yep. Alrighty. Yeah, TikTok is being super weird. I don't know why it's doing that. TikTok is being super weird. Okay, where's the TikTok chat, for example? See, it's doing it again. Okay, let's try again, TikTok. Let's try again. Okay, boom. Where the hell is their chat at? Okay, yeah, perfect. Exactly. That's how I feel right now, man. It's like TikTok is doing some sort of weird thing. Okay, let's get it. Let's get it up and popping again, TikTok. Let's try again. Bam. There's the chat. But I prefer it like somewhere here. How do I get rid of this whole thing completely? Extended chat. Okay, there's a way to get rid of it right here, right? Okay. All right. Boom. Back live on TikTok. There it is again. There it is again. Okay. You know what? This works. Bam. That works. Okay. Perfect. All right, we restarted the live over on TikTok. If you guys want to request to come up, you can go on YouTube, and there should be a link to the Discord, so you can join the show that way. And we also have, obviously, TikTok. You can use the TikTok multi-guest feature to also join the show that way. Okay, we're going to wait for people to join up on TikTok as well, and we're going to get started and get to some debates. Hamas leader did start the war. Exactly. That is indeed true. I saw it on X. Okay. Yeah, that Kuma guy is certainly like a bot of some sort. Some Qatari bot. Boom. What's up, MF? Over on TikTok. What's going on? What's going on? Okay, perfect. We should be good. What's up, Lucas Hunt? Then you get roasted on Jubilee. I got roasted on Jubilee. Roasted? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jubilee is a debate platform. I don't think people go on there to roast, but, you know. How did 80,000 Gazan civilians start a war? Well, just really quickly, the total death count includes combatants and terrorists. How did they start the war? Well, by invading Israel. So that's an answer to that question. What? That's a silly question. It's like, the question doesn't even make any sense. How did the 80,000 Gazan civilians start a war? Because, yeah, some of those so-called casualties were also combatants. Just to make sure you know that. And just because not every civilian that has died started the war does not change the fact that Hamas still started the war. So that's kind of how wars work, is that not all casualties are like the people directly involved in the commencing of the war. But it's funny how you guys like love what led to the consequences in Gaza, but don't like the consequences. It's like we love October 7th, but we don't like the consequences of October 7th. It's like, okay, well, that makes total sense. You getting your $7,000 a post? Yeah, I'm getting it. Don't worry about that. Shouldn't everybody agree with your third topic? I think they should. Right? They should. But we live in a pretty crazy world where not everyone necessarily agrees. Okay, Alf Doggy is the first person requesting. You'd be surprised on how much people disagree with things. Alf Doggy,
all right.
hello?
Yo, what's good?
Yo, this guy's... What's good? This guy's got to be a troll. And he also sounds like he's British or something. Shouldn't Trump just go hard in Iran? He should. He has, but he's slowed down a little bit on them. I think he should go even harder. Sophia says, what up? What's going on, Sophia? Yeah, a lot of these things, like all of these prompts really should be common sense. I think the average guy would probably agree with me. But of course, we still have leftists. We still have like alt-right people. You look easy to draw. Oh man, that's a really classy one, dude. That's a really classy one. Totally is. Totally is. Uncle Tom maxing. See, that's the thing. I've said it before and I'll say it again, man. Uncle Toms are cool and they're based. Name a single Uncle Tom position that is just like not a pretty decent position to hold. Like I would love for someone to explain to me what Uncle Tom position is not decent. You know? Alvo in the chat says on TikTok, I'm looking at the TikTok chat right now, it says, everybody just report him and go on with your day. Staying here just helps his cause/income. Just report me for what? Report him, guys. He's engaging in the First Amendment. He's talking to people about politics. He has political opinions. Don't debate him. Just report him and go on about your day, okay? Don't actually debate him. Okay? Don't debate him, guys. How interesting. Okay, let's bring up our next guest. What's going on, man?
Yeah. Good, how are you?
You have a bit of an echo. Can you try to fix it real quick? Just so people can hear you in the best
Yeah, it's now better?
way. Testing. No, it's
Now
pretty
better?
strong, man. It's pretty strong, actually. Still.
One second. Don't kick me. What about now? Still?
Testing, testing. Are you, like, driving?
No, I'm not. What about now?
Are you in a car?
Nope.
Okay. Appreciate you, man. Whenever you can get your sort of situation situated, then we'll bring you back up here. Okay, Lara is requesting. Let's bring Lara up here. What's going on, Lara?
I'm hello?
You have a lot of background noise, Lara. I can kind of hear the TV back there.
All right, turn it off.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, what's up with the F-Force?
I am the what?
I said, yeah, what's up with the F-Force?
Air Force? What?
No, ma'am. I said, what's...
I'm sorry.
What's up? What do you have for us? Maybe I said it a little too fast.
Oh,
Yeah.
it did sound like that. No, I'm a Republican, straight up Republican.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And I believe everything you're saying, and all those people that are saying those bad things about you, report them, help report them, they're just jealous. Because you're a very smart, intelligent boy, a man, I should say.
Oh, young man. Yeah. I appreciate
Yes,
it, Laura.
young
Yeah, you're
man.
right. It's funny because, like, someone, obviously like me, I want to have polemical discussions with people. I want to debate people. And if they're saying report them, it's like, okay, you're kind of conceding that you can't actually debate the merits of my argument and prove them to be wrong. But yeah, anyway, thank you for coming up and respect
Thank you. Have
Laura.
a good day.
You too. Thank you. Okay. Let's move on to the next guy, next person. Come on, guys. We're for free speech. We don't want to report anyone or deplatform anybody. We're for free speech. We want to have debates and discussions and really engage out here, right? Okay. Let's bring up the next person. It's like, if I was wrong, though, guys, you would see people proving me wrong. What's going on, man? Hello? You from England?
How are you doing? What'd you say?
Are you British?
No.
Your mic kind of cut out there. You said no?
No, I'm from the Midwest.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I could barely really hear you there.
on.
Okay, which
Hold on.
topic? Okay.
Hold up.
He just kind of dipped on us. Sorry, perfect. Let's move on to this person. Doesn't have a profile picture, just a user. I'm gonna assume it's probably like a troll, but we'll see what happens. Obviously. What's going on, man? User.
Yeah, it was good.
Where are you right now? I can kind of hear the acoustics of your background. Where are you at?
In my room.
Okay. Can you try to like fix the echo effect and stuff?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. Let's give this guy a chance here. Yeah, it sounds like he's in the bathroom, man. It sounds like he's in the bathroom. That's like bathroom echo, right? It doesn't sound like he's in his room. Unless, like, of course, he just moved into a new house or something and there was nothing in his room.
Hello, is this better? Hello?
Hello?
Is this better? Hello?
Yeah, it's better. Okay, what do you have for us? Which topic do you want to debate?
It's not really a specific topic. So my question is, I have a lot of Republican friends, I would say, right? And, I feel like currently right now, there's so many cases you can make where Trump isn't doing as good as he is. And I always ask my friends, like, do you regret your vote? Would you have voted for Kamala instead? And they're always like, no, I think she would have done so much more worse. And I'm like, okay, what's the line where Trump could do something where you would be like, oh yeah, if Trump were to do this, I would definitely vote for Kamala. And literally my friends, and a lot of Republicans would be like, obviously this is a joke, but like if they would say like, oh, if you were to cause like a nuclear war, I'll definitely vote for Kamala or something. But my whole point here really is there's no line where Republicans have where like Trump is crossing this line and you guys would regret your vote. That's my issue.
What is the thing that you think? What are things that you think Republicans are against? Generally speaking, totally against, undeniably.
What are they against? Like,
well, yeah. If you want to know like the line that Republicans would draw to like stop supporting Trump,
okay.
then like what do Republicans actually care about? That's the number one thing. Like, what are Republicans against?
Let me give like this is basic like things like when Trump
No, hold on. Stop for a second. You have to answer the question. What are Republicans generally against?
What are Republicans generally against?
Why is that a difficult question for you, man?
No, I don't okay. I'm assuming they're against like inflation. I'm assuming they're against.
Yeah, that's what someone just said in the chat, though, right? Someone just said inflation in the chat. But everyone. But that's not a. Hold on. But that's not a serious. Hold on. Calm down. That's not even a serious response. Everyone is broadly against inflation. But, like, what are core principles that Republicans hold themselves to? Like, if you want to know where the line is, I can tell you right now that if Trump became, like, a radical leftist, if he was, like, pro-DEI, if he reversed all of his DEI policies, if he opened up the border again, it was no longer, like, U.S. illegal immigration, lowest it's ever been in 55 years. If the border was completely open and people were flooding in, ICE deportations were not happening, we weren't dealing with Iran, then, yeah, I don't think Republicans would be happy with Trump. Now, I don't think the Republican government under Trump has been perfect. I think there's been a lot of mistakes and a lot of things they could be passing right now that they haven't been passing and a lot of different issues. But yeah, if they were to be like pro-abortion all of the sudden and change every single virtue that they ran on, then of course I think that would be like the line, generally speaking. But I don't think it's like one thing. I think it would be like a combination of multiple different things that would actually like stop people from supporting Trump or something. But just try to ask a question more specific about my topic, if you can.
So this whole war with Iran, right? Like, this war was started under Trump, right? It was under Trump. Trump started this war. Would that be a line that you Republicans would be like, okay, I don't think we would have gone to war if Kamala was president?
Well, you're presupposing that Republicans are against this so-called conflict or war to begin with, which we're not. So why would we condemn Trump for doing such a great thing, which is bombing the IRGC's nuclear facilities and also dilapidating their military infrastructure when it comes to their missiles, their navy, their air force.
Most Republicans?
Yeah, polling shows that most Republicans support the Iran war. Yes, absolutely.
I just disagree.
You disagree with the polling data?
What polling?
You can look up Gallup right now. We can check right now. What % of Republicans support the war in Iran? Let's just look it up. What % of Republicans support the Iran war? Right here it says between 61% and 77% of Republicans support the U.S. military action and war in Iran, depending on the specific poll and faction of the party surveyed. But overall GOP support, roughly 61% to 67% of registered Republicans voters say the military conflict was the right decision and remain supportive of the ongoing campaign. So the majority of the Republican electorate supports it. So why would they condemn him for something that they support?
Okay, so just adding on to my point, like, so what my whole point was saying, there's this line that Republicans don't cross, right? You kind of like helping prove my point here. Is there anything that Trump is doing right now where Republicans are disagreeing? Like, but majority of people would say it's kind of a bad thing. For example, this war. I think a lot of people would agree that this war is a bad thing, but Republicans are strongly for it. Is there anything
Wait,
that
but
like
you just said they weren't though? You just said that the Republican electorate was not for this war.
Okay. You just said the are for it, right? Well, I'm saying majority of people would be against it.
Okay, I was talking about the Republican electorate because when you came up here, you were like, okay, what is the fine line in which Republicans would stop supporting Trump? And then you mentioned that Republicans were not in favor of this war, and then I brought up this poll, right, that shows that they are actually in favor of this war. The majority of them are. And we can argue the merits of whether or not we should be engaging in military action against Iran or not. But nevertheless, the Republican electorate is for it. They should not be condemning him for something that they're for. Are some members of the Republican Party against it? Sure, I'm sure some members are against the war or conflict, and not everyone agrees. You think Thomas Massie agrees with Trump on this? No. Do you think Ken Paxton does? No. There's people that disagree with Trump within the Republican Party. But if you're asking about what is the fine line in terms of like, okay, we're going to go from supporting Trump to supporting Harris, then yeah, almost everything about the Republican Party would have to change. Higher taxes, higher corporate tax rates as well, opening up the border, obviously, right? DEI and affirmative action policies would have to be reinstated. Us being like an absolute clown on the global stage also would have to be a thing again.
So you're literally saying that like, in order for Republicans to vote for Kamala Harris, for example, literally everything would have to be a shit show, just so you guys could...
No, just like all of the core principles would have to be changed. That's it. All of the core principles would have to be changed. That's it. If Harris became a Republican, if she wanted to cut taxes, if she wanted to close the border, if she wanted to end bureaucracy, then yeah, I think that people would start supporting Harris. if she became an actual Republican, but she isn't. And by the way, voting for Democrats right now is even more dangerous than it was before, because the Democrats are being eroded by far leftists now. And now we get the DSA. Now we have Mamdani. Okay? So, like, things are 10 times worse with the Democrats. Okay, this person isn't really saying much. We're going to just move on to the next person. Okay, guys? Perfect. We have Toodley, which is this person's name. Okay, let's bring them up. What's up, Toodley?
Hey.
What's going on?
Hi.
What do you have for us?
What?
I
What's
said,
up?
what do you have for us? Yeah, what do you have for us?
I don't know. The last guy was talking about how.
You don't have to talk about what the last guy was talking about. You can bring up your own thing, by the way.
Oh, I don't know. I was just listening to what he was saying about. Well, first you told him that the core values of Republicans is like abortion and stuff like that. But I remember when he was campaigning, he was talking a lot of smack about Kamala, saying, oh, she's going to start a war, she's going to start a war, she's going to start a war. And here we are. So, and also I have a question for you, actually. What would make you change your mind? What would Trump have to do?
Okay, so you're just gonna like sort of backpedal off of what he was getting at. Yeah, Trump would have to change all of his like main core principles when it comes to foreign policy, domestic policy, in order for me to like no longer support Trump and support a different candidate. Right, but it depends. Like, are you saying just stop supporting Trump or support Trump over Harris? Like, where are you getting at more? Like, where are you gauging at?
At what point would you go, okay, I've had enough. He's gone too far.
And then what? Would like rather support Harris in that sense, or just generally just say like F this guy?
No, I mean Harris is not here. She's not.
Well,
we
you were
know.
backpedaling off of what the last person was talking about, and he was saying, at what point would you stop supporting Trump and support Harris over Trump? That's what he was getting at.
Oh no.
I'm
not
just
on
stop
Harris.
supporting Trump. Well, then yeah, he would have to end his core principles. And if you want me to lay those out, I can.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So one would be like being pro-abortion. If he became pro-abortion tomorrow, that would be a major factor, and a lot of obviously evangelical Christians and the Republican electorate would be upset at him for it. If he opened up the border, if the border was no longer closed like it has been, where U.S. illegal immigration has been the lowest it's ever been in 55 years, then obviously that would be a factor of not supporting Trump anymore, because he ran on the border the first time and even the second time, right? If he decreased ICE deportations, that would be obviously a thing. So immigration generally as it stands. If he stopped engaging in foreign policy, as we've seen him do with the Abraham Accords, right? With striking, for example, Iran, with brokering deals between Cambodia and Thailand and India and Pakistan and stuff like that. That would also be a factor in decrease in support for Trump, obviously. If he did not pass the one big beautiful bill where we saw tax cuts, right? Just like the same way we saw tax cuts under the TCGA, that would also be a factor in no longer supporting him, right? So if he increased taxes and they did all of the other things I just mentioned, then yeah, I would stop supporting him if all of those things
It'd have to be all of those things.
Well, it would have to be almost all of those things, yeah, because we're talking about core things. It's like if a candidate changes one thing and it's like moderately like small, I don't think that would be sufficient to stop supporting them. So it'd have to be something like a bunch of
You
like,
think that
different
maybe
significant things.
If, let's say he did like 2 out of 6 or whatever, how many ever things you said, let's say he did half of them, okay? What do you think that possibly you would just come up with excuses for his actions?
I would critique him. I would critique the things that he did that were bad. By the way, let me also
what would you
this.
critique?
Salads are better. Hold on, just really quickly, ma'am, for a second. Salads are better. Sent a super chat over on YouTube. Hi, Matt. By the way, I'm getting Gaza ads on your stream. You're getting Gaza ads on my stream. See, this is what I'm talking about. The Qataris are infiltrating my streams on YouTube and TikTok. Yeah, go on.
I lost my train of thought. I guess I was just asking, like, if half of those things happened, you'd give an excuse, I'm sure, because, I mean, were you against starting new wars?
Yeah, I don't think Iran is a new war. That's sort of the thing. I think Iran has been a long-standing conflict.
Officially, officially it is a new war.
Actually,
we have
officially,
boots on the ground.
Well, that's false. We don't have boots on the ground, and officially, it is not a new war because we have not declared war since like 1942. Right? Like, we have not declared war for a while.
Well, Donald Trump declared it war.
No, Trump. The president cannot declare war. That is something only the legislative branch can do. Congress declares war, not the president. Right? The president can engage in military conflict without congressional approval. That is true, right? But presidents don't declare war, officially speaking, of course.
Okay.
I
So
mean, you can look it
don't
up.
think what's
I'm not making
you
it
don't
up. Presidents
think,
don't
okay,
declare war.
hey, so you don't think that this is a war right now? You think this is a conflict?
Well, you can call it a war. You can call it a conflict. I just believe that this has been long-standing and that we're engaging in.
I agree, but don't you
Right.
believe that we have gone a lot further than we have in the past?
Thank God.
20
Yes.
years?
Yes. We
Thank
are actually
God.
finally dealing with Iran. Yes.
Right. And day one, we unalived.
Khomeini, their supreme leader, who was the illegitimate usurper. Their supreme leader, Khomeini, Ayatollah Khomeini.
No.
We didn't kill him.
Do you know
on
what
the
I'm
first day?
even? I was talking about the 165 little girls at the school.
Oh, well,
not
actually,
some dude.
Well, actually, okay, sure.
Nope.
Those people died. I think civilian
People,
casualties
little
during
girls.
conflict. Okay.
On the first day.
Little girls are people. We also killed Khomeini on the first day, right? We also killed a bunch of top IRGC officials that were responsible for killing tens of thousands of protesters from late December into early January of the same year, by the way, right? And you're pointing out that the girls that lost their lives. Yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but they're also civilian casualties in war.
Can you imagine if that?
Do you think killing?
Can you imagine for 1
really
second?
quickly.
No,
Hold on, really quickly, just for a second.
You've
I
been
just wanna
talking
get
quite
this.
a lot.
No, I just want to get this
No,
through
I
because
wanna
you're
get
talking about
this.
the little girls. I want to get one thing through. You're against dictatorships, correct?
The 165 little girls.
You've
that
already
were
said that
murdered.
before. I know you want to participate in emotionalism. You've already mentioned that before. I condemn it. I think
No,
that's
no,
evil. Really
you're
quickly.
interrupting me and being incredibly rude. What I'm
You're going
trying
to
to
repeat
say
yourself
is
that
that
killing girls
day
is bad. You've
one,
already said that. We agree.
if
We're on the
this
same page.
I had a question for you and you interrupted me. If this had happened on our soil, how do you think we would have reacted as a country?
Yeah, I don't think any country. I think all countries would react the same. They would not be favorable of civilians dying during active military conflict.
Not
but there's
just
also
unfavorable. No,
Right.
we would
No country-
start a war and we would lose our fucking minds. We would lose our
Okay,
absolute
perfect. You don't
fucking
think
minds.
Iran? Hold on. You don't think Iran has lost its minds going after Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, Jordan, Israel, Turkey, even
Yeah,
Iran?
but
Okay,
the
perfect. So
second
they've already
that
lost their
we
minds.
killed
Perfect.
165 children, I think we would start a nuclear war. Honestly, if it was
Right.
in America.
Okay. You think
So
we'd start
why
a
are
nuclear
we?
war over
No,
that? Well,
why
you're just
did we
wrong.
day fucking one? Why did we day fucking one start that shit by killing a bunch of kids? Why?
Okay, actually, that's not how we started it. So, do you know where it
That
happened?
was
by
day
the way?
one, honey.
Hold on.
That
Do you know
was
where it
day
happened?
one.
Do you know where it happened?
No,
Do you know
in
any of the
Iran.
circumstances behind it? Like it happened in Manab, Iran. Okay, can you tell me any of the circumstances? Where was the school located next to?
It was
Or
next to
basically
some
what?
important place, and they fucked up and they missed.
Well, it was right next to a naval base that was also struck.
Yes.
And by the way, I also the February 28th,
Oh wait,
I
they
believe,
struck
was a
the place
Saturday.
right next to it too.
Let me educate
I
you.
have
Let me
a
educate
question.
you on this. Hold on, ma'am. Calm down. I know you don't really know a lot about what you're talking about. You're sort of like saying words because you just want to say things, and it's typical emotionalism. I get that. It was right next to a naval
You're
base,
a little
right?
bitch.
And it was also on a
How
Saturday.
About, how about talk to people
there
like
it
they're
is.
human beings?
There it is.
Talk to
there
me
it
like a
is.
human
there
being.
It is. She's getting
Stop.
upset now. She's getting upset.
I
There
am
it is,
because
yeah.
what you just said to me was fucking rude. You called me a dumbass. Fuck you.
Okay, really quickly. Name the 7 continents right now, and you won't be a dumbass.
Okay, North America, South America, Australia, Asia, Africa, and wait, North America, South America, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, and am I missing one? Antarctica, Asia, Asia. Oh, Europe. Fuck you. I know all the continents.
You got stuck there for a second.
Because I wasn't counting when I was doing it, you bitch. Fucking.
I mean, you were
timer on.
actually. You can't count with your brain. You can't use your brain to count.
You
7
had a fucking
continents.
loud ass beeper going on. Of course, I was a little under pressure. Bitch.
Oh, you were under pressure to count 7. Why do you keep saying the B word constantly? You seem like you're a low impulse control individual, man. What are the 3 branches
Because
of
of
U.S. government?
because of the way you just
what are
spoke to me
the
before
3
you.
what are the 3 branches of U.S. government?
Oh my fucking god. Judicial and some other shit. Judicial? No, fuck you. I know it. Fuck off.
You missed Australia, by the way. No, she actually missed Australia.
Bitch! Turn the timer off.
This is the typical leftist, by the way, guys. Look at how they're freaking out.
Judicial and some other shit.
Federal
Fuck
is
you.
a branch of government.
I'd rather have.
How about this?
What'd you call
How
it?
about this? Really quickly. How about
Stop
you
muting.
How about you? Well, calm down. Calm down for a second. Hush. Calm. How about you?
Do you
not
talk to
crash out?
Hello?
Calm down.
I feel like you talk to your.
Calm down. Let me play some music for you to sort of calm you down a little bit. Calm down. let me make everything clear, and I'm speaking on behalf of almost everyone when I say this, ma'am. We don't want to hear foreign policy advice or advice on, or I don't want you to give the U.S. federal government advice on what they should and shouldn't be doing when you don't know the three branches of government. You also think federal is a branch of government. You don't even know how a bill becomes a law, so please don't try to lecture us on what we should do with foreign dictatorships that kill Americans. Thank you very much for coming up, though. Let me leave you with this bomb, by the way. Let me leave you with this bomb really quickly.
You're not going to let me speak.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming up, ma'am. We'll move on to the next person. That was great. She couldn't even give us the three branches of government. She thought federal was a branch of government. No, that's a level of government. The same way we have a local, state, and federal. Of course, you didn't know that. Don't give us any advice. If you don't know the three and by the way, it's not that I asked a hard question. I asked a basic question, okay? I didn't ask her a more sophisticated question. It was a very simple one, okay? Okay, we have currently 6 people in the guest request over on TikTok. We're going to bring the next person up. Hopefully, they actually want to pick a topic that they want to debate, because so far we haven't had anyone that actually wants to debate a particular topic. Everyone in the YouTube chat, what's going on? This guy's saying I'm running scared. Yeah, dude, I am so afraid of you right now. I am like shaking in my boots. It's not like I've had thousands of debates. I am so afraid of a random person. That makes total sense. But yeah, she was totally crashing out. Totally crashing out. We also have this person that's named the Old Mean Lady. Let's bring them up. See what they have for us. What's going on, Mean Lady?
I wanted to know what would a Democrat have to do in order to earn your support if Trump became intolerable?
Become conservative, which is impossible for them to do. But they would have to become conservative on almost every political issue, or at least the core fundamental political issues in America.
Even if Trump was totally intolerable, you would demand that a Democrat
Trump can't
become
run
completely...
in 2020. Trump can't run again, so we don't have to deal with
True.
Trump anymore afterwards. But in order for a Democrat to generally win my vote, they would have to uphold conservative principles.
Okay, but that's in a perfect system where you get everything you want in a candidate. But if the Republicans become intolerable...
In what way?
What would... if they, for example, all become like Tuckers, and they want to make big government, if they want to have policies that have the power, the government enforcing things like just intolerable, hypothetically, like if JD Vance decided, and he's going to be the runner, if he decided to be more radical in his policies, and big government and government intervention in markets, and more tariffs, and say less personal liberty, and having government get bigger and bigger, until a point that whatever point for you would be intolerable, and the Democrats would be less intolerable. What things would the bare minimum that you would get to support them without them completely becoming Republican?
I did not understand anything you just said, ma'am. But anyway, thank you for coming up, and thank you for the, with all due respect, unintelligible question. Thank you anyways. I don't know. Did anyone understand that? I just heard a bunch of ums and ums and ums. I didn't even hear what you said. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next person in the guest requests.
Yo.
Okay. Yo,
keep
what's
sucking
going
up to
on,
Ben
man?
Shapiro, man. Nick Fuentes view mogs you, bitch boy.
Oh, Nick Fuentes mogs me. But okay, can I ask you a question
Yeah,
about him though?
and he's
Can I ask you
leaner
a
than you.
question?
You're kind of a
That's
skinny,
that's
fat
totally fine.
bitch.
Can I ask you a quick question? Well, Nick Fuentes is pretty fat actually, but nevertheless. Can I ask you a
Not
question
anymore,
about him?
bro.
Okay, just brother, calm down. I know you're frogging out right now, but just relax just for a second so I can ask you a basic question. Why are you panicking? It's like you're having a panic attack up here. Anyway, my question is he Mexican? Is that like a conspiracy theory, or is it not true that he said that he is Mexican himself?
No, he's the greatest Mexican of all time.
So he is Mexican.
Yeah, he's the
So
goat
a
of
Mexican.
all
Hold on. So a Mexican is like leading the alt-right white nationalist movement?
Dude, the alt-right, what is it, 2015?
Like what's going on here? Why can't hold on. Instead of like having people like Myron Gaines, well, I can say alt-right if I want to really quickly because it's my sort of, I can utter the words that come out of my mouth. Anyway.
Because you work for Ben Shapiro. And
Myron Gaines is like a Sudanese Muslim, part of your movement. You had Sneeko until you guys ostracized and kicked Sneeko out. Now he's like, now you guys want him to be deported. I mean, I do too, but that's a different thing. But you have a Mexican, short midget Mexican, somewhat also Sicilian guy running the movement. How about this? This is my proposition. I believe that white nationalism should actually be white again. Let's get a white Anglo-Saxon person. And if, by the way, if we're actually talking about the founding stock, I want a white founding Protestant male to at least be the head of the alt-right movement. If we're talking about the founding stock, this whole thing where we're having like a short midget Mexican going around, streaming on Rumble and stuff like that is not going to work out for us. Okay, we need someone who's taller, who's not a Mexican, whose last name is not Fuentes. We need someone real. Like, we need a white person that's actually going to lead the far-right movement, okay? Anyway, I appreciate you coming up, sir. Thank you. Just make sure you guys relay that information over to the Mexican cult leader. Give us an actual white guy, not a Mexican short midget, okay? Anyway, by the way, I'm 6'1". I'm taller than Nick Fuentes. He's a short little Mexican guy. And I've already told him, I've said this. I will debate him any moment, any time. I'm willing to debate him. He's obviously not going to debate me. He's afraid, okay? He's going to give all sorts of excuses for it. But seriously. Okay, Colton, I am 6'1", okay? I am 6'1". I'm 6'1". Maybe actually 6'1.5", okay? It says 5'11". That's funny. Okay, let's bring up the next person. His name is Big K. Big K. Let's see what Big K has for us. What's going on, Big K?
How's it going?
What's up? Which topic would you like to debate me on?
Well, actually, I was just tapping the screen, but I do have a question for you.
Okay.
My bad. If the right proposed a solution to school security, we'll say, would that not win us? Like, how could the left even be against it? And would that not guarantee us the midterms?
No, I don't think it would guarantee us the midterms. I think the midterms are pretty out there. And I don't think one thing like school security, which I'm not trying to say Americans don't care about school security. I think they do. But I just don't think that specific, like maybe something on gun control, maybe even if that. But then you'd be sort of undermining Republican and conservative principles in America already. But what does schools, like what would the proposition be? Just like teachers can have guns? Or like what would it be?
Well, okay, so I do security. I do private security.
Okay.
And I know how difficult it is to provide SROs to schools. Have to be, in most cases, especially if you want any sort of government funding, especially for a private or, a smaller school, you have to have a current and active post license. You have to be on duty. Like there's a whole list of, which is, I understand the reason for it. Obviously you want someone that's trained but there's other ways to do that without it being so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to win the Republicans the midterms. Like, I think I
mean,
just don't.
How is the left going to argue against that? Like,
well,
if that was,
it's the left would be arguing
point.
sort of against it, not by just saying that we don't need school security, but that we should actually just sort of not like some of them would say we should just ban all assault rifles completely, no ARs, and some of them would say we need stricter gun control, right? But they're not going to just agree. They don't like the idea of just teachers having guns, or even a lot of like guns at school itself because they sort of perceive that to be like militant and sort of like, I don't know, just not with the aesthetics of school, right? And so that's how they would argue against it, generally speaking.
I mean, the problem is that they're soft targets. Obviously, we know that, but I don't know. I think that if the Republicans came up with an actual plan that, I mean, how, you know.
Possibly. I just know the leftist arguments, and they're against people having guns almost.
Well,
either they're against people having guns or they're against ARs. Their whole sort of viewpoint is that you limit the amount of people that can actually possess weapons that can do those crimes, right? Not that you just increase security at the schools. That's sort of their viewpoint, generally speaking.
I got you.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next person. His name is Will. Perfect. What's going on, Will?
What's up, man?
Willie, what's up? Which topic would you like to debate?
Let's talk about the divide within the Republican Party.
Why is everyone here not trying to debate my topics at all?
What's your topic?
That's totally fine. I mean, my topics are above, but it's fine. We can actually debate that because I think that's actually a pretty interesting conversation, too. No, that's fine. We can also debate that because I think that's an interesting topic as well. The divide within the Republican Party. So are you talking about like the woke right versus sort of like just
like
the
MAGA?
General... Right. Okay, perfect.
Like I was MAGA. I voted for Trump 3 times. I was full-blown MAGA, right?
Okay.
But like the last 2 years have been really weird for me because I don't really know where I align politically now.
Okay. Are you a Democrat?
There's 2 different sides of the right now.
Are you a Democrat?
No. I'm Republican.
Okay. Now I was just asking because it depends on where, like, even the woke right sort of has its spectrum, right? There are like Candace Owens fans, Tucker Carlson fans, Nicholas J. Fuentes fans. So like, which person would you most align with?
See, I don't know. I used to listen to Ben Shapiro a lot, but now I don't. Tucker's okay. He goes on some crazy conspiracy things, but
he does.
I don't really know. I'm kind of feel lost. I don't know where to go.
Okay. Well, what are actual issues that matter to you the most?
The housing market. Well, things that affect me. I'm like in my 20s. I don't really care about war. I don't want to go to war.
Okay.
Let's see here. I think that I own a construction company, so I think we need to move industry back to the U.S. I thought Trump was going to do that.
He has been trying with the tariffs. I mean, the issue is like, yeah, he's been trying things with the tariffs, but obviously the Supreme Court already made a ruling that
the Supreme Court
unconstitutional.
See, that's the thing. We have so many problems domestically. I don't know what we're doing in foreign entanglements. I don't get that, and I don't understand why half the party on the right is pro-war.
Yeah, the Supreme Court, just really quickly, the Supreme Court is its own sort of thing. It is obviously majority conservative, but it's also not going to align with Republicans on everything. And another thing is, like, I remember people were mentioning this. It's like, well, where are the deportations? They've been happening. They've been obviously more silent and more discreet now than they were before because Alex Reddy and, all those other people
Minnesota
over Somalia, but they've been happening. If we're talking about the borders, what Trump ran on, U.S. illegal immigration.
Yeah, he closed the border. I love that.
55 years. That's been closed. Perfect. Now, he's been trying those things with the tariffs. I don't necessarily agree with the tariffs. I think there are its own sort of issues. But getting rid of DEI and affirmative action or sort of like anti-white or anti-East Asian policy, I think that was also a good thing. But if you're going to mention pro-war, no one is pro-war. I think that's sort of like a straw man that a lot of people sort of bring up is like no one is just like, let's go to war for absolutely no reason, right? Now, there are certain conflicts.
I get why we're there. I get it.
Perfect. And you may disagree with it, right? But yeah, no one is just pro-war. That's kind of a straw man.
I think there's like priorities that need to be taken, but yeah, I get why Iran's a problem. I understand that. When he got my vote this last time in 2024, he ran on no foreign wars, and I was so happy to hear that finally from a politician, because Kamala was like, yeah, we need to stop them from getting a nuke and all that, which I get, I get why Trump is doing this. I'm just so lost right now.
The issue is like his language was no new wars, and like this whole thing with Iran, nothing is really new. They've been
you're saying this has been happening for 60 years.
Well, Yeah, more like 47 years. But yeah, this has been a thing since the inception of the IRGC, right? They've been actively supporting terrorist organizations that have been killing Americans. They've been actively enriching uranium up to 60%, trying to achieve nuclear weapons, having a large missile stockpile, supporting 3 different terrorist organizations that undermine our allies and our strategic assets in the Middle East. They've been doing all sorts of these different things for that sort of time span of 47 years since they've been a thing. Now, we've engaged in a blitz military engagement like Midnight Hammer and different military engagement, but nothing
Epic
of this
Fury.
is like really new. Yeah, nothing of this is really like a new war that's been opened up.
Do you think that Trump thought that airstrikes like the ones he pulled off would have completely ended the regime? What did you think his goal was with that?
Well, the airstrikes on the regime itself were done mostly by Israel. Like when you're talking about the bombing of Khamenei's compound, that was done more by Israel. If you're talking about like killing IRGC members, the point of attacking top military officials was to sort of
weaken them.
Yeah, weaken the military itself, like weaken their command structure. No one actually thought that it would just bring about regime change in of itself.
Yeah, I think they thought that the people would rise up, and I see tweets from Mark Levin saying arm the Iranian people. I see all this stuff happening.
Right, they have to have weapons to rise up. They don't
exactly. Yeah, and we were going to arm the Kurds, and I understand what they thought would happen, but are we stuck in this prolonged engagement for the time being? Just what are we to gain from this? Like all this is doing is kind of hurting Trump's legacy, in my view. I don't know about yours.
I don't think it's solidifying Trump's legacy that he's actually been the first person that's willing to stick it up to Iran. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Now, I think the main things that this is doing, not just for us, but just for everyone, and also sort of undermining Russia and China, is depleting their actual military infrastructure. So they went from having like the largest missile stockpile in the Middle East to like over half of their missile stockpile being destroyed. Their nuclear sites like Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan have been severely also depleted. So if they were to try to enrich uranium again or try to achieve a nuclear weapon, it would take them a lot longer to do so. They'd have to deal with destroyed facilities, destroyed centrifuges, and so on and so forth. Their navy, they can no longer sort of express the amount of power that they were previously able to express. They're a lot weaker financially speaking, right? The IRGC has been the main state sponsor of terrorism throughout the Middle East and throughout the world. They now have less money to spend on funding the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah, for example. They start their own conflicts, which kill tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, and sort of disrupt global maritime trade and so on. So they're a lot weaker financially in order to purport terrorism. So I think there was a lot of sort of wins in terms of that category.
So you think this is a win as of now?
I mean, in what way is it a loss? Just because, I get that there's I get that there's economic disruption. I get that there was economic disruption because of the conflict, but militaristically speaking, it's been a victory in terms of
when midterms midterms are coming soon, very soon. I know our primaries in 2 weeks here down in Florida. So I'm just worried that this has put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth who aren't MAGA. Just people who are kind of in the center. A lot of people I know, younger guys, they're kind of just over politics. Back in 2024, we were all very hyped for Trump to come back, ride the wave. Now nobody I know is pro-Trump. And it's kind of scaring me. What if Democrats sweep this year? And then what's next? What do we have to do to unite the right?
Well, the sort of what do we have to do to unite the right?
Well, okay,
I
so
sort
my
of have
parents,
an issue. The thing is that the sort of faction of the right that is sort of acting as a dissident.
the Nick Fuentes? What?
Not just the Nick Fuentes, but acting sort of as a dissident, generally speaking.
Yeah.
They're just sort of clinging on to conspiracism and blaming Israel for literally every single thing that's ever happened. Also to an extent of blaming Israel for killing Charlie Kirk, which they have no evidence for. And everything is a conspiracy theory and we can never control everything and the Jews. So it's you're actually sort of engaging in a conversation. They just really aren't giving us anything to work with or anything to really unite under.
Yeah, and I'm willing to talk to anyone. I want to know what your views are. I want to get because I'm a conservative, but I don't really know where we're heading as a party. Because I'm getting Nick Fuentes views from some people, getting Ben Shapiro views from others. I don't know who's right,
Well, I mean, I am generally pro-Western civilization. I am pro-Western values, and I am not aligned with Islamic terrorism or Islamic extremism, and so I will stand on any side that is against.
Are you a Christian?
Islamic extremism or Islamic? I would say I'm not necessarily super pious, but I grew up in a Christian family, and my entire family's Christian, and I'm aligned with Christian values, obviously. And I think Judeo-Christianity is something that we ought to preserve in the West, just as the founding fathers specifically thought so as well.
Yeah.
And so. I would stay on the side that is actually engaging in debate and making rational arguments, not the side that's just engaging in conspiracism.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
all right, man.
Great talk, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck with all these people.
Yep. Thank you, Will. All right. Will was actually the first normal person that came up here and that respectfully disagreed. Can you guys see that we can actually have discussions with people that can respectfully disagree but not be like completely insane? It's such a breath of fresh air to get a normal person. Okay? Now we probably are going to have to get back to the crazy people, though. Watch. Let's see what happens, okay? Okay, let's get to the other person. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, we have this person. Let's bring them up. Okay, what the hell? Zay420. He's been requesting for a while. What's up, Zay? Have you not been up here before?
Yeah, a while ago.
Okay, what do you have for us, man?
All right, so you probably remember me from last time because, I'll just say this because I saw you on the Jubilee channel thing, whatever, and your cut was clean. It was fresh. You actually took my advice and went to the barbershop. You got a fresh hairline. I was like, damn. But now you done messed up. You done let it get away from you, bro.
Zay, you really waited. Zay, you really waited 35 minutes to give me a haircut suggestion, really, Zay.
I'm just chilling, man.
What are you currently eating right now, though? Can I ask?
Say what?
What are you currently eating right now?
Some Charlie sour bright crawlers.
Okay. Do you disagree with the prompt at all? Any of the prompts, Jay? Or Zay, sorry.
It's all good. Racism isn't systemic. What do you mean by that?
Dad,
yeah, I don't think that.
What's he eating?
Matt just asked me, son. Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't think that racism is embedded in the systems in America. I don't think our corporations are racist. I don't think the government is inherently racist. I don't think that, in any way, America's system are against people of color.
Do you think it has always been that way, or do you think there's ever been?
No, I don't think it's always been that way. I think you could find systemic racism in the past, but I think in the 21st century, yeah, of course, systemic racism does not exist at all.
Do you think any of the past effects of systemic racism that occurred in the past has any effect on present?
Of course, things in the past have effect on the present. I just don't think it's I think there are some residual effects maybe from people that may have suffered under Jim Crow, but I don't think that it is significant or accounts for the majority of issues within the Black community or the Hispanic community.
I would agree. Well, speaking for the Black community, I would agree that it wouldn't account for most of the issues that occur now. However,
10%, I don't think. But
yeah, I wouldn't say less than 10%. My dad's still alive, who was somebody who suffered under that systemic type of racism. So I'm just a generation removed from that. So
but you haven't suffered under that, right?
Not the same way that he did. No, but I would say. Yeah, I would say that I didn't suffer the same way that he did, but I have experienced some residual effects from his systemic racism that he experienced. And I can give you an example of that. Being that he suffered some examples. For example, my dad was in the Army. He was in the military. And he wasn't able to use his GI Bill for mysterious reasons. I can't point to whether that was directly related to.
Yeah, I don't know about that anecdotal experience with your father, but generally speaking, we're talking about systemic racism does not exist today. Do you agree?
I don't think systemic racism doesn't exist at all today. No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I think when I say that, by the way, I'm saying it doesn't exist against people of color, because if you're a Black person or a Hispanic person or a Native American and you apply for college, you are given an advantage over whites and Asians. That is objectively true. If you are trying to obtain or go to medical school, for example, right? According to the Association of American Medical Colleges, Black, Hispanic, Native Americans can get lower MCAT scores and actually still get to medical schools in comparisons to white and Asians. Right after BLM happened in 2020, right? In 2021, the S&P 100, I believe, added 400-something thousand jobs. 94% of those jobs went to people of color, and that is according to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's own data. And so if you're a black person or a Hispanic person, it's not that you're maybe the systemic racism does not exist against you. It's not just even that. You are actually given a boost on white and Asians, objectively speaking. Now, that may not mean that that doesn't mean that you won't people are not going to say mean things online, or people won't make jokes or whatever the hell that, because everyone does that to everyone. But systemically speaking, yeah, there's no racist system at all today.
Well, if you say so.
No,
I
it's
would
not me
say,
saying so. It's the data. It's the data.
okay,
saying so.
no, that's the data set that you gave, and those are examples that you're using. However, I would argue that again, when I brought up the example of past systemic racism not existing or existing today, I just kind of brush that off as well. Like, just because those things don't exist inherently right now in this time doesn't mean they don't affect what has already happened and occurred. Those decisions that you brought up just now, by the way, if you go back throughout the time and throughout that history, those still have residual effects on what happens now.
I think very little to none is my sort of estimate here. Like, people mentioned generational wealth. 70% of generational wealth disappears by the second generation, according to a 20-year study on generational wealth.
Say it one more time.
70% of generational wealth disappears by the second generation, according to a 20-year study on generational wealth.
70% of generational wealth disappears
by the second generation. Yes. You can look that up right now. There's a 20-year study on it. So I think there's little to none, really, of residual effects that are actively really affecting people today. I mean, I don't think that I'm like 2020.
To call some BS on that one.
Would you find that statistic, bro? What systemic racism? Well, I'm saying you can look it up. I forget the exact, there's multiple different publications that have posted the study, but it's basically, there's an entire book on it. I believe some brothers did this. It's a 20-year study looking at generational wealth, and they found that 70% of it disappeared by the second generation, 90% is gone by the third.
Yeah. The only reason I even think about that and bring that up is because, I've been able to, somebody who's been able to obtain property. And one way to, pass on wealth to the next generation is through property ownership and business ownership. And
I thought that was a tool of white supremacy, I was told by some leftists, but okay.
I'm not those leftists, but I would say that, that's one of the ways that people had been, we call it, suppressed, so to say, or a systemic racism. And, we all, the history about redlining and limiting people of color being able to attain certain
redlining affected mostly white people, but sure, okay. And it was basically, mostly based off of socioeconomic status, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, socioeconomic status that involved a lot more, higher percentage of black people than it did white people. But, and either way, I'm just saying that, I don't think those effects can be just simply dismissed, especially when you
Jewish people face redlining. They're one of the most successful people in America today. Italian Americans face redlining, and white Americans, generally speaking, face redlining as well, because it was mostly based off of perceived socioeconomic status and the crime around certain areas, obviously, and credit scores and all sorts of other different factors. Race was not really the main reason for any of the disparities. I'm just being honest. I mean, what do you think redlining really was based off of, though? If I were to ask you, what do you think redlining was? Asking people that question, I think, is actually important to sort of get to the, nitty-gritty of this. Zay, hello?
Yeah, sorry. My children are, pestering me about some stuff. It's okay. Yeah. Good conversation. Go find a good barber wherever in your local area is, and good chatting.
Okay, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. See, you couldn't actually explain it. It's funny how they can't actually explain it. It's sort of conservative, by the way. Thank you for the galaxy. It's funny how they always have to hold on to buzzwords, but they can't actually explain their points. Over on Discord, we have someone waiting. There was someone in the waiting room. That's interesting. Hold on. Check that. Okay, perfect. Yeah, there's someone over on the Ryuk says so funny. Yeah, it's like, why can't you guys actually explain it? Like, make your argument, you know? Okay, let's bring up this other person. What's up? What do you have for us?
What's going on?
What's up, man?
You don't think racism is systemic?
Nope. What do you think the systemic racism is? Like, if systemic racism existed, how would it, what do you think it actually definitionally is?
I don't know
would be?
that systemic. I don't know that systemic is the right word.
Okay.
I would say it's definitely prevalent. And
just
it pops
racism
up in
generally
the-
being prevalent, but not. My argument is that it's like systemic racism doesn't exist within the systems.
There's prevalent racism in the systems.
Okay, like what? Like in what way?
I heard somebody talking about redlining earlier. Classic example.
Well, redlining was outlawed in 1966 with the Fair Housing Act, and it is not being actively practiced today. It's actually federally illegal to redline, and it also affected whites, generally Italians, and different minority groups like Jewish people. And it was mostly based off of like socioeconomic factors. But nevertheless, we're talking about like contemporaneously. If we're talking about contemporary times, how are the systems systemically racist today?
So you mentioned like just because it affected white people and Italian Americans, like that's still racism. Like
my argument is not that systemic racism has never existed, right? My argument now is that systemic racism does not exist today against people of color specifically. It surely exists against Asians and white people. We know that for a fact. It does not exist against people of color today. That's my argument.
Yeah. So it's not called redlining anymore. It still persists through the use of zoning, regulations and the permits that you have to get, things of that sort. Like that's how redlining.
But how is that
still exists
racism?
today. If you're a business owner, if you're trying to open a business and you're a person of color, the odds of your permits getting denied are a lot higher.
Okay, well, what actually would, for example, because I hear this all the time, and the issue with arguments like this, and this is another example, people would say, well, if you're a black person or a Hispanic person, your odds of getting a loan approved are lower than a white person. Well, what about your credit score? What about all of your socioeconomic? What about all of these other economic metrics that would like make you a less reliable lendee? So you have to fill out a lot of paperwork to get certain permits and so on and so forth. So if black people or Hispanic people,
we'll work it like this. Do you believe that your zip code affects your life trajectory?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Why do you think that?
Well, because there's a lot of things that sort of are implicated in your zip code, like the general wealth of your district, right? Or the general wealth of the area that you live in. And that could affect a lot of different things like crime. That could affect, the school that you go to, all sorts of other just general factors. Right. So,
and you don't think racism plays a role in any of those things you just mentioned?
Not at all. Nope. Zero.
Not even a little bit.
Nope. It's all based off of socioeconomic standards. Nope. So, like, if I'm a business owner, do you want to open up do you know where O Block is?
Sure.
Do you want to open up a business in the middle of O Block?
It depends on the business.
Any business. Would you want to open up a nice business out in the middle of O Block? Or anywhere near
Sure.
O Block? I wouldn't. You want to know why? Because I may get robbed. I may get robbed, or I may have to start ducking bullets. Right?
But if redlining and systemic racism don't exist, then why are you concerned about that?
Wait, you're saying that King Von possibly shooting you in the head when he was alive, of course, has something to do with systemic racism?
If systemic racism doesn't exist, then you shouldn't be afraid about opening a business anywhere.
Wait. You believe systemic racism is minority groups?
No.
Like disincentivizing businesses by robbing them and shooting them? What?
You're saying that systemic racism doesn't exist. You're saying that systemic racism
I don't think people are going around robbing businesses and like shooting at their so-called ops because of systemic racism. I think systemic racism has nothing to do with that.
I don't think you understand what systemic racism is.
You're the one that didn't want to give a definition, like a clear-cut definition of systemic racism. You said that racism was actually just prevalent. That was the argument you made.
Yeah.
Okay, well, explain it to me. Explain it. Let's say you open up your business in O Block, and King Von decides to go in there and rob you. What role does systemic racism play in that?
Here's a classic example of systemic racism.
Wait, can you explain? Can you walk me through that path with O Block?
No, I'll get to your little hypothetical in a second.
Okay.
The 3/5 compromise, systemic racism.
Okay, that doesn't exist right now. You do realize that? Black people are counted 100% as people in America to be represented. 100%. Not 3/5. 100%. So you're talking about, hold on. Right. Hold on. We're talking about, I don't think you want, hold on. You just gave an example. You just gave an example that was false, because earlier in this conversation, I already made it clear to you.
The 3/5 compromise is not systemic racism?
Okay. What was my earlier claim about systemic racism in the contemporary and past?
You're saying that it doesn't exist anymore at all.
Okay, perfect. So why would you bring up the 3/5 compromise? Does the 3/5 compromise is it currently being effectuated by the U.S. federal government?
If you would let me finish.
Wait, hold on, just for a second. Is the 3/5 compromise? Hold on. Is the 3/5 compromise being effectuated by the U.S. federal government?
Irrelevant to the point I'm making.
The answer is no.
Your question, like, you didn't let me finish. You're jumping off, like you're getting trigger happy with your sound effects, and I get it. You know, that's what you do. You know what I mean? That's fine. You're
not paying attention to the conversation.
Related to the 3/5 compromise, which was the same deal that was stuck in the same constitutional convention, is the Electoral College.
Yeah, you're trying. Correlation does not equal causation, right? The Electoral College with its own separate concepts.
That phrase is irrelevant too. Like, you're not even using that phrase correctly.
No, I am. You're saying
the Electoral College is a form of systemic racism.
Okay, who came up with the Electoral College?
The government.
Yeah, who specifically? Who are the people? Who are the intellectuals?
The folks at the National Constitutional Convention.
Yeah, and what did they? No, be more specific. Do you know what their ideas? What was their argument for coming up with the Electoral College?
To give non-slave holding states equal representation in one chamber of commerce.
Wait, that's what their argument was for bringing up the Electoral College?
Yes.
Could you show me that?
Google it. I'm not in front of my computer.
Okay, I'm gonna Google it. Let's see what it actually says. Well, I'm gonna ask the same question, but to Google. Ready? What was the argument?
Nah, go.
Hold on. No. Stop. I'm gonna Google it. Don't be afraid.
No, well,
what was the argument? Nope. You're not gonna interrupt me. Perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna ask because you said Google it. What was the argument at the Constitutional Convention?
Hey, don't hit mute though. That's
for electoral. Because you're interrupting. Hold on. I'm gonna Google it. You wanted to Google it?
We're both interrupting.
College. Let me see what their actual argument was, okay? Let's read. Here it is. Delegates argued that letting Congress pick the president would create, quote, too much opportunity for chummy corruption between the executive and legislative branches, making the president dependent on lawmakers rather than independent. There's also more here. Distrust of direct democracy. Many framers worried that an ordinary popular vote was vulnerable to a, quote, democratic mob. Oh, I wonder what that democratic mob would have been. Or demagogues who would manipulate public passions. Let's read more. Let's read more. Are you ready? Let's read more. They envisioned electors as a knowledgeable, deliberative body that would make a cooler, more reasoned choice. There is more here. Information gaps and travel limits. In the 18th century, communication and travel were slow and localized. Delegates doubted that average voters in remote or rural outposts would have enough information about the national candidates to make an informed choice. Oh my God, they knew so much back then. I agree with them, actually. I don't think that people living in rural areas or all sorts of people that are not really in-depth into politics would have enough information to make a reasonable choice or an informed vote. Notice how none of this stuff that I Googled, by the way, told me to just Google it, mentions at all anything about them not wanting to give rights to black people or the 3/5 compromise.
Because of the way you asked the question. And there you go again with your dumb little sound effect.
I don't know where that sound effect is coming from, by the way. I don't know where it's coming from.
I guess you just moved your fucking hand and then the sound came off. Like,
I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it comes from, bro. It's just kind of random.
Don't be a dumbass. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You're internet famous. You know, this is your bread and butter. That being said, there is no argument that supports the Electoral College that doesn't either involve systemic racism or its ugly cousin, DEI.
Oh my goodness. So, do you remember what we just brought up earlier? I asked you a very basic question. What was the argument that was given at the Constitutional Convention for the Electoral College? And you said not to give rights to certain people of color, obviously, or slaves. They were making it from the 3/5 argument. They were making it the argument from a racial standpoint, is what you said. I looked it up, and they were not actually making racial arguments at all. So you were wrong about that. You were objectively wrong about that. So let's get back to something contemporary. Okay? What race are you, by the way, just so I can ask for the sake of the argument?
No, there's
Hispanic?
You don't
Hispanic?
even know that.
White?
No.
Well,
Nope.
I'm an oppressed person of color, so I would like to know what your race is, just so I can check your oppression,
A
maybe.
fellow oppressed person of color.
Okay. My fellow oppressed person of color, we are going to end this white system that is really setting us back here. Well, yeah, you're Hispanic. I can tell kind of with the accent. I can kind of hear
That's
that.
racist as fuck.
Well, I can't be racist. I'm black. Don't forget that. I'm black. I can't be racist. Remember that. Are you
Black
forgetting
people
our little?
can be racist.
Are you forgetting?
Who said that?
Oh, are you forgetting the radical? Are you forgetting the leftist points here? Black people apparently, according to leftists, can't be racist because we don't control the
Who
system.
says I'm a leftist though? I'm not like don't make us. I'm not making any assumptions about you.
He doesn't know about his group and how they sort of this
Whose
left-wing
group? What group is this? It's just
I don't
me
think
and
you understand,
talking.
man. The left have gone further,
No, I
bro.
get
They don't
that
even
it's
think I can be
convenient.
racist.
I get that it's convenient for you to try to lump me into people that I'm not. Sure, like in your
Okay,
limited
fine. You're not
worldview.
part of their group. Okay, so black people can be racist. Anyway, it's not about me being
We-
racist.
but
It's
we
called
agree on
pattern
that, though, right?
recognition. It's
We
not
agree
about
that
me
black
being
people
racist.
can be
It's not
racist?
about me being racist. Yeah, I agree. I think black people surely can be racist. And so my perspective is that like it's not racist for me to know that or can sort of like hint at you being Mexican because of your voice, because I can hint at people being of certain racial or ethnic identities because of their voices all the time. It's called pattern recognition. Humans recognize patterns, and there's sort of like a Hispanic accent to an extent, the same way that there's a black accent. If I were to point a gun to your head, okay, and you were to have like you had to choose between the black guy and the white guy, and you could only hear their accent. Okay, the black guy was like, "What's up, man?" The white guy was like, "What's going on, bro?" Okay, or how do I do like I don't even know how to do a white accent really.
You lose, like,
Or the nerdy. Think about the nerdiest. Think about the nerdiest white
I don't
accent.
have any. I don't have any interest in like chasing your straw man. Like land your plane.
No, I'm just like you can tell. You can sort of like hint at racial groups by their accent. Like you saying
And
you
don't
can is
think that's
stupid.
racist? You don't think that's racist?
No, it's called pattern recognition.
Describing like assigning somebody's race by like your preconceived notions of how races
It's not
exist.
100%. It's not 100%. But yeah, if like it's a pretty decent hint.
So, what percent is it then?
Like almost 75%, depending on how good you are at decoding it.
So you're like 75% racist then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm 95% good at like getting racial identities from race. I'm really good at it, actually.
Sorry, you're 95% racist.
I'm racist because I can. But I was right. You're Hispanic, right?
No, you're wrong.
Okay. What are you
Straight
then?
up.
What are you then?
I'm not telling you at this point just to fuck with you. I would
Yeah,
have been happy
because
to
you are.
tell
But
you.
there's nothing wrong with it, man. I'm not saying there's anything, but I'm saying you are Hispanic.
There's
You can agree with it.
There's absolutely nothing wrong. I'm just belaboring a point to show how misguided you are, and you assuming that
I'm
Hispanic
misguided by
when I'm
me.
not.
Well, okay, you are.
Your pattern. Like this
you
is
are,
that,
but it's so
this
you
is that
are,
5%.
you are. And by the way, no one in the chat believes you aren't. So you're not convincing anyone. But anyway,
They can believe what they want. That's their choice. We live in a free country.
So what, you're
But you
Native
have a problem
American
with
then?
that too. That is actually correct. I'm like straight up Native American.
Okay, well, you still probably have a decent amount of like Mexican in you, anyways.
Sure,
but
yeah,
sure,
the
you're Native
Spaniard
American, so you're
came
really
and-
so you're like triple oppressed. You're like super duper oppressed, right?
I mean, I live a lot better than a lot of other folks. Like, I don't.
Do you live on a reservation?
Like, I don't know why.
Do you live on a
like,
reservation?
I do not. I grew up
Okay.
on one though in Oklahoma.
Did you
And
like
then I
it?
moved out of. It was fine. I mean, we moved away from there when I was like 6 years old. Like I barely remember it.
Okay. So are you actively in your day-to-day life being oppressed by the evil white system?
Yes.
In what way?
What is it with you
In-
and these sound
in-
effects, man?
I
Like,
don't
what-
know
like, no,
where
like,
the
hold on, hold on. I
sound
have
is
to ask.
coming from.
I have to ask, man. Like, where is your head at with these?
I don't know where
Like,
the sound is coming from, man. But anyway,
Right.
back to the point. How is the white system oppressing you in your day-to-day life, actually? I want you to
Oh,
walk me through it.
it's so. Here's I work in a business that like if I was good at golf, like it's a conducive environment to where it would be beneficial for my business if I was a better golfer. this is like a lot of my concern. Dude, fuck off.
Okay. Wait, no,
Fuck
I don't
off. Like,
really,
fuck the right
I don't
off.
know
Like,
where that's
I'm
coming
trying to
from. Okay,
have
hold
like
on,
an
just really
actual
quick. Wait, hold
conversation
on.
with you.
No. The reason why I think the reason why the music coming.
Nah,
I
fuck
think
you,
the reason
dude.
why
Like,
the
if
music.
you're gonna play that shit,
Whoa,
like that's some
calm
nonsense.
down. So you said you worked in a business, and it would be conducive
Correct.
for you, because of the business that you work in, if you
Correct.
were really good at golf. And by the way, the
It would be
question
better.
was, yeah,
It would
it'd
be
be better
better.
for you if you were really good at golf. And
Before
the question,
before
and
you
remember,
started
and
playing your
remember, and
before you started
remember,
playing
and
your
remember,
bullshit
and
sound effects,
remember, and
I
remember the
wasn't done
question.
talking before you
And
started.
remember, the question was, how is systemic racism or the evil white
Bro.
system oppressing in your day-to-day life? That's your answer. Your answer is that it would really help your business if you were really good at golf. That is how the so-called evil white system
You
is
didn't let me finish.
oppressing you.
You didn't let me finish before you started popping off with your bullshit sound effects again. Like, be a fucking grown up and have a real conversation.
I am trying to, but that's not a real argument, dude.
But
Seriously?
you playing music, like, you didn't even fucking let me finish. Growing up the way that I did, like, golf is just not something that you have access to. It's not something that you're gonna learn like in your regular trajectory as like
Okay.
a Native American from fucking Oklahoma that moved to Texas. That's just
Okay.
not gonna happen. You want to know
So?
who is? You want to know who does benefit from that?
Yeah.
You want to guess what the makeup of that country club is? Guess.
So you're not mentioning something that's
Yes.
racial. You're mentioning something that's socioeconomic. If you're saying that white people are wealthier and that golf is something that wealthier people do, then of course there's going to be white people in golf. Black people are better at basketball, although they're only 13% of the population. They're like 70-something% of the NBA. That's not because of their race. That's because of their ability and their performance. That's not racial, though. You're crying because a white guy named Jake has more money than you and he can afford a golf club? How about let me propose a solution to that. Get wealthier so you can be part of more exclusive sports. Oh, he left. Okay. Yeah, like what? That's not racism. That's so dumb, dude. That's such a dumb argument. It's racism that white people have money and they can afford exclusive golf clubs. Really? Really, bro? That is your evidence of an evil white system existing. Yeah, that is pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic. Let's move on to the next person. Okay. What's going on, man? What do you have for us? You have a lot of background noise, it sounds like. Hello?
Hey, dude, can you hear me?
Ibrahim, what's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah, what's
Can
going
you
on?
hear
What do
me?
you have for us? Yep.
So you're saying Gaza started this war? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, yeah, we're talking about the fourth Gaza war, which commenced on October 7th onwards until maybe now, if you want to say still it's going on to an extent. But yeah, obviously Gaza, in terms of the majority of people being in supportive of it, like 78% of the people of Gaza, when they were polled about 2 months after October 7th in December, said that they were in favor of October 7th. And obviously Hamas and other organizations like the PIJ, Army of Islam, Mujahideen Brigades participated in October 7th, which started this fourth Gaza war. Objectively, yes, Gazans started the fourth Gaza war.
So do you think all of this started on October 7th?
Nope, not the entire conflict. The entire conflict can go back. It depends on how far you want to go back. If you're talking about Jews and Arabs, we can go back well over 1,000 years, up to maybe 2,000 years, right? Now, if you're talking about Israel and Palestine, we can actually go back up to 1917, 1910, 1909. We can go back pretty far. It depends on what you're talking about. But I'm talking about Gaza, and this Gaza war was started by Hamas. And every Gaza war was actually started by Hamas.
And do you think that the Zionists are to blame at all?
No. Not
Really?
at all. Yeah, the Zionists actually did the Zionists actually did exactly what you guys wanted, right? So there were settlements in Gaza in 2005, 21 of them. 17, when Ariel Sharon decided to do the disengagement from Gaza in 2005, 17 settlements were destroyed in southern Gaza, 4 settlements destroyed in northern Gaza, 8,500 Jews were forcefully removed from the Gaza Strip. The bodies of dead Jews buried in Gaza were exhumed okay, and reburied in Israel, and all of the Jews were forced to leave because the argument was if you stopped occupying these people, if you just left Gaza, then there would be peace. Guess what happened the year after? In 2006, there were the Palestinian legislative elections, and Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. And since then, they started 4 different Gaza wars and launched like over 20,000 rockets.
Now, how do you explain what happened in the West Bank? Because Hamas
Why are you
doesn't
changing the
control.
Why are you changing the topic? We're talking about Gaza.
We're talking about Gaza, but the reason why I'm not changing. You got to let me talk. I'm not changing the topic. The reason why I asked you how you felt about the Zionists, because during that same time period, there's many settlements in the West Bank being where Palestinians are forcibly being taken out of their homes. And you think that the Zionists are not to be blamed. So
okay, I'm just
this,
talking about if you came up talking, one, people are not just like randomly being taken from their homes. That's just totally false. But 2, you came up here talking.
You don't have any evidence of that.
You came up here.
You can't
actually,
say
the burden
is
of
false without fact.
the burden of proof is actually on you because you're making the claim.
Yeah.
I've actually analyzed the claims you guys have made, and every single time you guys are never actually able to prove.
So
your claim.
here's my question.
But hold on. Nevertheless, you came up here just to get you back on track. Hold on, Ibrahim.
No, we are on track, and I'm asking.
You came up here mentioning Gaza, and you asked me how Gaza started this war, and I answered you. You're now trying to change the conversation to the West Bank, which is a completely different conversation. If you want to concede on the Gaza argument, we can talk about the West Bank right afterwards, but you're not going to divert the topic.
It's not
so we're talking about Gaza.
When I'm asking, okay, listen, turn your ears on. Okay, turn your ears on.
Hold on, Ibrahim, I'm listening. I just want you to focus on the topic. Gaza is the conversation. Okay. Gaza is the topic. Focus on Gaza.
And you got to read my name correctly. I'm sure you know how to read. My first name is Ali. All right.
Okay, so, I'm calling you by your last name, Ibrahim. Is your last name Ibrahim, or am I wrong?
Well, normally in English we read left to right. So
yeah, but I'm saying Ibrahim. I can, dude. So, that's actually. Do you think people go by Barack or Obama?
You got to read left to right. This is
Barack or Obama. Do you think people go by Barack or Obama? I could choose Ali as well, but I prefer to call you Ibrahim. Do you not like your own last name or something? I don't know.
No, I'm just teaching you how to read. It's basic reading. Now listen. Okay.
Trust me, if we were to do a reading comprehension test right now, I would obviously win. Sorry, my English is exceptional, but that's besides.
Okay, listen. Now let's stay focused on Gaza.
Perfect. There you go. Back on track.
I brought up Zionists as it relates to Gaza because I simply asked you a very simple question that you don't want to accept. I asked you a simple question.
I answered the question.
Do you blame the Zionists at all? And you say no, right? Then I take it, staying on track with the Zionists as it relates to Gaza. The same Zionists are overtaking the West Bank at the same time, and Hamas is not over there.
That's
so if
changing.
you want to blame Hamas,
right?
You have it right on there on the screen.
I'm not blaming Hamas for the West Bank. One, just really quickly, just to educate you, because I've done a lot of research on this conflict. Hamas does actually operate from the West Bank. So you saying they don't is just false. They have a lower level. They have a lower level. Hold on, let me educate you, brother. No, just hold on. Let me answer first what you said, and then you can ask a different question afterwards. So they have a lower presence.
Are you being paid by?
Dude, calm down.
How much
Thank
are you?
Appreciate it. I'm going to answer the question. And we're going to ask you another question. So really quickly, they do have a presence in the West. They do have a presence in the West Bank. It's to a lower level, but they do indeed have a presence in the West Bank. Wait, why are you running away? We're gonna have a debate. Why are you running away? Let's have the conversation. Notice how he's running away, guys. So the reason why he's crashing out and running away is because he can't argue the merits, right? The conversation started about Gaza, and I absolutely eviscerated him by bringing up the historical argument. And he was like, well, what about the West Bank and the West? What about the Zionists in the West Bank? That's a change of topic. Dude, Ibrahim, please. Get better impulse control. This is why your people keep losing wars, because you guys can't control yourselves.
Monkey.
Okay? Oh, he's crashing out. He's goading out. Look at him. He's goading out.
No.
He's goading out. He's goading out. No. Okay.
So now
by the way, also Ibrahim, stay away from goats. Okay. Goats are not to have intercourse with. Goats are not to have intercourse with. Don't have intercourse with any goats. Anyway, back to what I was saying.
You're getting paid by Zionists.
I'm getting paid great by Zionists, and I fucking love it. Zionists are amazing. Anyway, back to the conversation. Just do me a favor,
You're a
Ibrahim. Stay away from goats and don't blow up
You're a
randomly.
You're a Zionist.
Why are you saying it like I'm not a proud Zionist? Yes, I am an unapologetic Zionist. I don't have an issue with Israel existing. Yeah. Wait.
Free Palestine. Free Palestine from you guys.
Say please,
From
and I
your
may
Zionists.
Wait. Say
Free
please. Say
Free
please.
Palestine from the.
Say please.
Free Palestine from the Zionists.
Wait. Say please, and maybe the Zionists will free Palestine. Why'd you run away? Oh, there he ran. By the way, do you know why he ran away, guys? Because he actually didn't know how to argue, right? We were talking about Gaza. He came up talking about Gaza. Then he shifted to the West Bank and was like, well, Hamas is not in the West Bank. One, you're just wrong, right? Hamas does have a lower level of presence in the West Bank, but they do operate from the West Bank. That's one. Two, the West Bank is its own separate thing. We were talking about Gaza, but he ran away because he realized, oh shit, this guy actually read up on Gazan history. He actually knows what he's talking about. That's why he ran away. Okay? Anyway, dude, my two things for you is stay away from goats. Okay? Goats are not too... Bestiality is horrible. That's one. And two, please don't randomly blow up like this. Those are my only two suggestions for you, Ibrahim. Okay, moving on to the next person. He probably just went to do that, actually. Hopefully he's not on the news anytime soon. Anyway, what's up, Astrology? What do you have for us, man?
Hey, no, I was just saying I love your content. You're doing a great job. Thank you for everything.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks.
All right. Goodbye. On to the next person. This person's name is... Okay, we actually have someone on Discord, don't we? Let me check what they wanted to debate. A bill from Ohio and Green. Potentially grow with the Chiefs thing. Let's become a great thing again in the future. Oh my god, what a boring thing. What a boring thing, man. Okay. What's up, Terry? What do you have for us?
Hey, I want to debate the topic. Gaza started the war.
Okay. Do you know which Gaza war we're talking about?
Well, you're talking about October 7th, right?
Yeah. So do you agree that Hamas attacked on October 7th along with other terrorist organizations and invaded southern Israel?
Well, that's something that did happen.
Oh,
wait. You're Daily Wire? Are you Daily Wire still, by the way?
Yep. So you agree that they started the war?
Did I not
right?
care that you threatened to
Wait,
shoot
hold
up
on.
a
Why are
daycare?
you changing the topic? So you do agree that they started the war, right?
Did you threaten to shoot up a daycare?
Why are you
like
changing the
Israel?
conversation, bro? See, there's the crash out. If you came up with a different question, I would actually answer it just fine.
Did you threaten to shoot
Can
up
you
a
answer? Oh, there's the crash out. Okay, thank you for coming up, brother. Appreciate it. See, it's like you agreed with me though. They did indeed invade. You agreed that happened, so they started the Gaza war. That's another victory. I appreciate it. Thank you for that victory. On to the next person. See, it's quite easy, dude. It's quite easy. What's going on, man?
Yo, it's good.
Got a lot of energy. What do you have for us?
It was good.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? How old are you?
we out.
Okay, that seemed to be a child of some sort, I think. Unfortunately, probably living in the projects. We hope for his future. We hope the best for his future, though. Okay? Yeah, he does sound like a kid. Okay. We just had a guy named Luther. Okay, perfect. Let's bring this person up. You hate to see it? We out. Okay. Calm down, man. Bring it down a few notches. This person is just connecting forever. Connecting forever. Adults only. Yeah, adult. You have to be at least 18 years old, or at least sound like you're somewhat of an adult. Okay, don't sound like that guy if you want to come up here. Okay, sound like you're somewhat of an adult, just somewhat. Okay. We could bring on this guy from Discord. We could bring him in. Okay, let's bring him in. Let's actually bring him in. Hello? What's his name? Bill? Bill, hello? How old are you, Bill? How old are you?
I'm doing great, actually.
No, I said, how old are you?
Oh, yeah, yes. I'm 21.
21.
I'm 21
Okay,
years
Bill.
old. Yes, sir.
I'm just reading
Yes,
here
sir.
from what my producer put in the chat. He wants to debate that white supremacy is going to become great again in the future. Great again. That's what you think?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
See, I've been watching several videos online
Okay.
about black fatigue, and it seems that I go into the comment section and I see rows of people talking about how black people are low IQ, that they're too stupid, and we need them to be deported, that we need to have segregation.
Need them to be deported. Okay.
have
So
that we
rows and
need to
rows
have
of comment sections of people basically fighting racially and making jokes about black people or making jokes about people.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
But your
Yes,
claim
sir.
but your claim was that I agree. Yeah, there are people in comment sections that make fun of black people or make fun of Jewish people and have their own claims about both. I think there are issues within the black community. If you've listened to me, you would know that for a fact. But your belief, if you weren't misrepresented, was that you believe white supremacy is going to be great again in the future.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Be
sir.
more specific.
In
What
the
do you like?
coming-
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I believe is that in a coming future, it may be 5, it may be 10, it may be 20 years. I
Okay.
believe that if we as a community don't address this, like as black conservatives, if we don't address this and
Wait, hold on.
do
As black
some-
conservative, so you're black as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
I
Okay,
was
go
born
on.
black,
You were born black?
and
No one ever really says
Yes, I was
that. No one
born-
ever just says they're born black. But okay, go on nevertheless.
yes, sir. The black
Born black like you changed it.
conservative
I
movement-
don't know. Okay.
I'm sorry. It's just me. But anyways, I think that the community, the black conservative part of the community, needs to be loud and to be, how do I say this? Honestly, to outright condemn the black culture, to say to the majority of the country, let alone the Western world, that not all black people are stupid, low IQ people. That black people can to be just like white people in a sense, and we as a community, we can do
This
better.
guy's actually making me laugh, man.
That this- that
People
this is
are
not a
calling you slow in
genetic-
my comment section, but just ignore them, okay? Go ahead.
I understand. I've dealt with this my whole life. Anyways, I believe that our society will be, if we don't do something about this, if we don't enforce black police officers, if we don't enforce black politicians who are against the how do I say it, the Negroism. I'm referencing Pastor Manning,
Okay.
of the black community, and we go back to.
I'm not trying to be
where-
disrespectful. Could you just try to make your argument more concise? I get it. Yes, for a fact. If we don't address issues within America pertaining to racial issues, then things will only get worse, right? And things will not improve.
Yes,
and I think that's
yes,
the big
and-
general issue. So you're claiming to be a black guy. Whether I believe it, I mean, that's kind of up there. You may be a black guy, and I may secretly really be a white guy wearing blackface. I mean, that's totally a possibility as well. Nevertheless, you said white supremacy will be great again in the future. Okay, maybe 5, 10, 15 years. How do you think that will actually happen, though? Right? Because we have all sorts. We have Hispanics in America. We have like Indians. We have Asians. We have all sorts of different racial groups, and we have white people that are leftists and like, for example, we have liberal white people, conservative black people, white people, far right white people. We also have far left white people. Ideologies are not aligned with race in America necessarily, right? Just as a general perspective. So how will that actually manifest in the future? What happens in 20 years per se?
I think that there will be possibly a second American Civil War between the Democrats and the Republicans, specifically towards post MAGA party and the Democratic Socialists, I believe that maybe coming, if we have a Democratic Socialist in office, maybe there will be a civil war. But anyways, it'll become to a point where
So there will be an entire
whites,
civil war between the Republicans and the
yes,
Democrats.
sir,
Okay.
there might possibly be one.
Okay, and
At
the
some
civil
point.
war will be over what exactly? Because you don't fight civil wars over petty stuff.
Over
So what
the
will
fact that the Democratic Socialists will try to impose communism to our country, and it will probably be the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, that the Republicans will be so outraged that they will try to succeed from the United States, or try to, like, how do you say it, try to, secede. I don't know how that's going to play out, but there may possibly be a civil war, or maybe there'll be a revolution or uprising. Maybe not. Who knows? And when these white supremacists, these groypers, they may be Catholics, they may be Orthodox, but what I believe that they'll try to impose white supremacy. They'll oppose that white people are the only race that are the intelligent race above the
Well,
black
even
and
white
brown.
supremacists don't believe that. White supremacists would believe that East Asians are smarter than them. But go ahead.
Well, that's my thought. I think what I believe is that the Asians would be that's the hypocrisy of the white supremacists, is that they look up to the Asian culture, which is ridiculous, because that would mean that statistically Asian people would be smarter than white people.
Thank you for coming up. Yeah, I just lost like 25 brain cells right there. I apologize to everyone that had to go through that and listen to that. I really do. Because I had to listen to that as well, and I'm much dumber having listened to that. Okay, perfect. Let's bring up Hebrew Hammer. Maybe he can help my brain cells sort of recover from that damage, that irreversible sort of damage that was just done to my neurons. Give me strength, my God. Give me strength to deal with people that are geniuses far beyond our ability to understand.
Thought you didn't believe in God.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether or not like definitively God exists. I'm more ambiguous to it. I think something exists after death. I think there's something out there. So
all right, just making sure you know who you're praying to.
I'm not a polytheist. I'm not praying to like 50 different things, or like under Hinduism or whatever. Allah help us in Palestine, this person says. Yeah.
Doing a great job so far.
Well, certainly is. Help us, help us, help us, help us, man. Anyway, Hammer, let me ask you about this since no one's requesting right now.
Okay.
What do you think about Mamdani wanting to impose IDs on people that want to go to one of his government-owned grocery stores when they open up?
Oh, yeah, obviously. They're obviously hypocrites about IDs. But here's my question, because I didn't read all of it yet. I mean, I saw the story, but I'm busy today. What are they checking for? Like, are they checking to see that they live in the neighborhood? Is there like a neighborhood restrict? Like, I don't understand what you would need an ID to buy groceries for. So are they checking to make sure they live in the neighborhood and you're only allowed to go shop there if you live in the neighborhood? Or like, what's the purpose of the ID?
Right, that's a good question.
Like, who cares who's buying eggs?
Yeah, that was a question that I had as well. But I guess that sort of was he gave that answer as a response to a question about people potentially like reselling these goods to make a quick buck, right? Because the goods are 30% cheaper, so people could resell them to make money, essentially, right? In like the black market. And so I think that it has something to do with that, probably, that they want to identify the people that could potentially be reselling. I don't even know. I don't even know what the purpose of that is. But nevertheless, we agree that the hypocrisy is outlandish. I mean, ID, like the left wing, sort of far left perspective is that, okay, like food is a human right. Everyone should be entitled to food given by the government for absolutely free. Okay, perfect. Why would you want to put a barrier, right, on food, like having to show an ID? Because the argument that leftists give us for why why we shouldn't have voter ID is that, well, this would disenfranchise the Black and Hispanic and Native American people that are too unsophisticated or not smart enough to get an ID. They just don't have the mental ability to get an ID. They don't have the means to get an ID. That's why we shouldn't have voter ID, and because it would be voter suppression. Okay, well then wouldn't it be food suppression then to have an ID as a barrier in order for someone to get food, which you believe?
I'm reading now, and it says for only people in New York City, which is still lame and still dumb.
Yeah, because who would go to New York City? What person that needs free, super cheap groceries would go all the way to New York City?
Yeah. No. Well. No. Here's the thing.
I don't know.
I made a video about this because this is something no one's talking about on this issue. Everyone's talking about how it's going to be subsidized by the taxpayers. It's going to hurt small businesses because they're going to undercut the regular retail price. So all these bodega owners are going to be in trouble. But here's the thing people don't talk about, which is scarcity. They're going to run out of these products within the first 24 hours of selling them because you're selling them for so cheap. So you're going to have to limit how much each person can buy. They're going to have to ration food.
Right. They're going to have to ration
which is what always happens with communists. So, for example, me and you are in the neighborhood where they have these, the store, and eggs are $7 a dozen, but at the regular market they're $10 a dozen. I'm going to go in there with you, and we're going to buy all of them.
Right.
And if they say, okay, well, we're going to limit to 2 dozen per person. Okay, 2 dozen for me, 2 dozen for my wife, 2 dozen for one kid, 2 dozen for another kid. Why wouldn't I buy if it's $3 a dozen less? So for $30 at the big store, I can get 3 dozen, but at the new store, I can get 4 dozen and get $2 back. I'm just going to buy as much as possible. Everyone's going to do that. And then they're going to run out within 24 hours. And then you know what happens then? All the other prices go up because the demand's going to be so high and the supply is going to be much lower.
Right. I mean, they've already sort of created a plan in which they're not going to change prices within weekly timelines. They're saying that if there are new prices that are going to be announced, they're going to be announced monthly.
Yeah,
that's another proposition that they have, and it's gonna take cost of at least $70 million to open up and build the 5 different grocery stores. But that does not account for the staff, the actual food, or operational costs or any other things like that. There's a lot of issues with it, and like Aldi, I looked it up. There's 14 different Aldi locations in New York City, and their groceries are 30 to 40% cheaper already anyways. That's one thing. Another thing is that New York City has a Fresh program. Fresh provides tax breaks for supermarket operators and developers seeking to build or renovate new retail space to be owned or leased by a full-line supermarket operator. Building taxes may be stabilized at pre-improvement real estate tax amounts for up to 25 years, with benefits phasing out at not more than 20% per year. And there's land taxes, there's city and sales taxes that could be waived on material to construct, renovate, or equip facilities.
It'll still fail. Even with all those advantages, this
is for a separate, completely separate, different program. This is not at all. I'm saying this is a program that New York City.
They get to do that with the market too. With the market, they're not going to have to pay property taxes.
They already have. Yeah, they already have this sort of program. They have 32 different stores like this. What it essentially is it provides tax breaks to supermarket operators and a developer seeking to build or renovate new retail space. They already have a program like this.
It has zero chance of succeeding. And another thing, the supermarket business is a very, very complicated business. It's a very labor intensive business. It's a very difficult business to manage. You're talking about supply chains. You're talking about purchasing and receiving products from all over the world, different types of products, different type of sell-by dates. They're only fresh and they're only good for so long that you can even put them out. It's a very hard business to manage. You need really, really competent people to manage these gigantic supply chains of all these different products. And when I think competence, government worker is not the person that jumps to mind.
1 to 3%
Who's gonna manage
profit
it?
margin already, by the way, which is what makes this whole free grocery store sort of proposition so pathetic, is that it's not really the business for profit to begin with. So
It's volume. It's a volume business.
all right.
They have to work on massive volume to make a little bit of money. Same thing with, by the way, gas stations. People don't know this about gas stations, but the local gas station that you buy gas from is making 1 to 3 cents a gallon. Like, they're making almost nothing. That's why they all have mini markets with cigarettes and potato chips. That's where they make all their money. The gas brings, it's called a loss leader. The gas brings people into the gas station to buy lottery tickets and all the other shit where they actually make money. It's like eggs. Supermarkets don't make very much money on eggs, but they know everyone needs eggs, and they assume if you're there to buy eggs, you're going to buy the other shit where we can make a little bit more money.
Right. That makes sense.
It's like the Costco hot dog. They lose money on the hot dog, but they don't care because they know you're going to buy $300 worth of stuff while you're eating your hot dog.
Right. Yeah. But hey, we'll see how it goes. He's going to open up the first one, I believe, in 2027, and then the other ones are going to subsequently follow.
So if you're hungry, you better just tough it out for another year.
But in our, I mean, the Steelman, their position. Well, yeah, if you're hungry, stuff up another year. Yeah, that's it's not going to be immediate. But well, obviously, like, private grocery store owners are not happy about that. Many of them believe they're going to go out of business because of what Norman Bunny's going to be doing. And there's another aspect to this. It's like, if they're too small, then it's going to be underwhelming for the people that supposedly really need those cheaper groceries, right? If it's extremely large, well, then it's surely going to disenfranchise private grocery store owners, right? That don't have all of the advantages that the government-owned grocery store will indeed have.
They're not going to sell a lot of this stuff a market does. So then you're going to have to ask yourself the question, is it worth it to go to this supermarket to save a few dollars?
Sure.
But I'm going to have to make another trip to the other supermarket anyways to buy the stuff that the commie market isn't even selling.
Right. Because it's only going to sell like fresh produce is what they're saying. They're not going to be selling
or
cigarettes
hot food.
Or anything else like that.
No hot food either.
Yeah.
So any pre-prepared, like when you go to the market and they have those pre-made chickens that you can get for like $6, right? And you can feed the family with a full they're not going to have stuff like that. So now you're going to have to go to a second market. So then you're going to have to ask the question, well, is the gas in the car or the public transportation, the cost going to be, it's supposed to be free, I forgot, but it's not. But until it's free, is it going to offset the savings I'm going to have by getting these staples? Okay. But they're not going to have all these other foods that I'm going to have to go to the other market anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think that there was a government-owned grocery store in Kansas City. There was an article about it, and apparently the employees were running around with tasers. Like, it was complete chaos, apparently.
Well, it was very unsafe, and they lost $20 million on it.
Yeah, I think it was like $17 million or something like that. Pretty close to $20 million. It was awful. And it was like it was on the city level. Like, the city decided to appropriate money specifically for cheaper groceries there, and it also became an absolute disaster. So
has anyone, you wouldn't know this yet, Matt, but maybe you did this as a kid. Well, you'll see this when you're an adult.
Yeah.
From the youngest of ages, the concept of incentive and disincentives are biologically intertwined with our DNA. You have a kid who you say, hey, will you do X, Y, or Z? And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. If you offer them $5, okay, I'll give you $5 if you do this. All of a sudden, look how motivated they are. Yeah. It was a week ago, I bought a new raft for my pool. And I told my daughter, I'll give you $20 if you blow up the raft. She blew up the raft in 10 minutes. She never would have done that otherwise. The point being, when you eliminate the profit motive, when you eliminate the incentive of success, there's no reason to make your product any good. It's like a restaurant in Europe
We've heard this before.
where they don't have tips. Their service is going to be terrible. You saw all those Europeans that came here for the World Cup, how impressed they were with the service at our restaurants. You know why? Right. Tips. Tips incentivize good service.
No, good point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they don't have an incentive to actually make the food. of decent quality. They're not going to have to, there's
or
gonna be
present it nicely, or have a good attitude, or check on your water. Do you need anything else? Da 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 da.
Well, it's not a restaurant, to be fair, but yeah, I get what you
or
mean.
whatever. Making sure the shelves are stocked, making sure they're neat, making sure when people buy a bunch of, when you go to the market and they don't like having holes in the market. They like showing full product. You know what I mean? Is it going to be presented nicely? Is it going to be clean? Is it going to be, are they going to mop? Are they whatever? They're going to make it a nice shopping experience. And if this supermarket is anything like city housing, you can expect it to be less than ideal.
I agree. I'm going to move on. There's a person on Discord currently requesting for a conversation. So I'm going to, you're not going to be able to hear them like literally at all.
I'll drop. Have a good one, Matt. No worries.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me.
See you tomorrow. Okay, we're going to bring on Matt. What's up, Matt? What's going on, man? I'm Matt as well, but you're Matt with two T's. I'm like sort of the abnormal Matt. Anyway, yeah, what do you want to discuss, man?
I want to discuss Trump's immigration policy and how it's not going to work.
Okay, as it relates to like legal migration or like illegal immigration?
You could do both, but mostly the deportations.
Okay, as it pertains to like what goal? Like, what do you mean? What do you think won't work?
Enforcing the law and getting all of them out.
Every single illegal immigrant out? Yeah, no one thinks it's going to happen.
Well, it kind of depends on the numbers you use as well, because some people include like the temporary protective status, and then some people don't. Right. So what I'm saying is that if you just crunch the numbers, on average, it kind of varies. Some weeks it's like 10,000 deportations. Some weeks it's more or less. I just looked up, if you just do the math, it's not going to work. So, and if Democrats continue pushing up, illegals, getting voting rights and all that, eventually the Republicans will never win an election. So if you do not deport these people, a lot of them, you're going to lose your country.
Okay, yeah, it seems like a messy situation. So just looking at the current numbers as it stands, reported over 675,000 formal deportations in the first year back in office. There's also a claim that additional 1.9 million voluntary deportations driven by enforcement operations and policy pushes. There's also detention levels surging here. It says surpassing 68,000 individuals in custody during summer enforcement operations. So enforcement operations objectively have increased. And the border, which is where all of those people have been mainly coming through, the southern border, illegally, that's where everyone basically comes through. U.S. illegal immigration has been the lowest it's been in over 55 years, which is a significant milestone that I have to give them credit for. Now, we don't actually know the amount of illegal people in the country. Some people say crazy numbers like 30 million. I don't think it's that high. We don't know how many people there are illegally in the country. I don't know what percentage of them are actually active voters. I don't want to make claims that I can't necessarily like substantiate. Like all of them are voting. Like I don't necessarily know.
For sure. I don't agree. Yeah.
But I think there is a fundamental, like if you want to deport almost all of them or at least half of them, I think there's a fundamental flaw in how the system kind of works. Because even if you deport 4 million or 3 million under your term, it won't matter if you lose the next election and Democrats just open up the border again and millions flood in again, right? And so like, and by the way, like people like, for example, Nick Fuentes have been bringing up this whole thing where it's like, oh, Trump is not doing, well, he has to deal with all of the judges, the liberal judges. He has to deal with the Supreme Court. He has to deal with all sorts of different bureaucratic procedures and setbacks that he may face.
Touch on that?
Yeah.
So with the court specifically, right, this also ties to legal immigration and birthright and all that. Don't you think if Trump wanted, because we both agree that if the Democrats win next presidential election, they're just going to flood. They're going to flood it with illegals.
That's what I think will happen,
yeah. Okay. So using that prediction, right, if Trump wanted to make a lasting impact, meaning decades of his decisions being enforced, don't you think he would have more of a radical view, maybe pull more of like an Andrew Jackson and say, I'm not going to enforce what the court orders me to do?
Ooh. He could do something like that, but then like you're going to face issues like in reference to impeachment. The Democrats have already been talking about impeaching him. If he starts doing that right now or like before the midterms, they're going to only like get more of a reason to do that. And I don't think I think the system, like I'm not a big fan of democracy anyways. I think the system is inherently flawed because of issues like this. It's just what it is. Like people say, well, I love the Constitution. I love certain principles of the Constitution, but You see, I don't think Democrats, regardless of what race they are, especially like a lot of like the more left-wing ones, are really moral people. The Constitution was not made for like literally everyone, which is why Liberia, when they basically, do you know the history of Liberia, by the way? Like the basic history
I
of it?
literally just watched a video on this yesterday.
Okay, perfect, great. So, which is actually really interesting. I think everyone should. Liberia drafted the same sort of constitution. There was the American Colonization Society. They sent black Africans back to Africa over there. They drafted the constitution. It didn't go as planned. They were basically attacked by a bunch of Africans, and it was fucking terrible. It was made for a moral. I believe the language is moral and religious, but nevertheless, when you have these two parties that diverge on issues to this extent, you're going to have all sorts of issues. Now, I'm not saying that he should just disregard the three branches of government, not get checked at all, because if he does that, there's going to only be more issue, more anger, more division, probably not going to win the midterms. So there's no easy solution to this apart from, hey, let's keep going hard through the bureaucratic process as much as we can, and let's hope Marco Rubio or a Republican can win in 2028, which I think is totally possible, by the way.
Here's the thing. I would, in 28, yes, maybe. In the midterms, my personal opinion is Republicans are going to get absolutely destroyed. That is my personal opinion. But
well, if that's the case, if that's the case, then aren't they going to just impeach him if he actually just starts disobeying
court orders? Yeah, but I think it's going to be like the impeachment last time either way, because it's going to be okay, well, we impeach this guy, but it doesn't go through the full process, so he's not actually impeached. And
the House impeached him last time, not the Senate. But if they destroy us in the midterms like you're predicting, then they're going to definitely have that Senate. They're going to totally impeach him.
I really don't think so. I think some Democrats, it kind of depends on the ones you're going to reference. I think some Democrats are not going to do that. I think they're going to do like they did last time. They're going to do the House, and then they're going to be then use it as media, then continue. But one thing I want to touch on. We're mentioning the court orders, right? I forget exactly when this was. Back when the whole Maryland man, Abrego Garcia bullshit happened. Excuse my language.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a federal judge. I could be wrong. Directed Trump to stop sending plane loads of people to El Salvador to the Supermax prison. Right? What did he do? He said, "No, I'm not going to do that," and continue to do it. Now he did have some legal standing when he made that. He said, a federal judge can't order the president to change foreign policy because under his eyes, that was foreign policy, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so there were arguments made, and they were trying to get him to bring some certain people back, but that was 200, 300 people anyways. That was not something super significant, and I don't think that meaningfully, I think it was generally good, but I don't think that meaningfully actually changed the core issue, which is millions of people, right?
But it could have.
You don't have the same sort of legal argument that we're using the Alien Enemies Act. You don't have that when you're generally dealing with what you're dealing with, right? When we're talking about illegal immigration. So no, that's sort of the hard concept, which is why I think the division within the right is making everything worse. If Democrats are annihilated or if Republicans are annihilated in the midterms, you could see an impeachment, especially if things with Trump escalate, and if the right fractures as much as the Democrats have fractured, the Democrats are completely fragmented right now. We don't know who their leader may be.
Well, they just came out and said Gavin Newsom, they don't want him. But now
but he's been doing awful. Yeah, that's the thing. Gavin Newsom, everyone thought he was going to be the guy, but he's been doing awful when it comes to the polls. And so it's not looking good when it comes to him either. So it's they're completely fragmented, but I want the Republicans to sort of unite under certain core principles so that maybe 2029 we can have another Republican in office. Because if that's the case, if you can get a sort of generational run going on, then you can certainly make real changes that are not completely going to be
last two questions.
Okay.
I don't want to keep too much of your time. So do you remember, I forget when this was, maybe a month ago, I shot the guy in the traffic stop, and then Secretary Mullen, I believe, said no more traffic stops. And then Trump reversed the decision.
Sorry, what? So I thought I heard you say you shot someone at a traffic stop.
No.
Okay.
Sorry. So,
you're talking about the ICE shooting. Okay, I think I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
ICE shot someone, not I. There you go. Okay,
sorry, my
perfect.
bad.
Yeah.
So basically, I forget the chain of events, but they shot some guy because he was fleeing, whatever. He had meth in the back of his truck, so clearly a great individual. And basically, it was either Mullen or Trump said no more traffic stops. And then Trump, I believe, reversed the decision, or Mullen and said only traffic stops if they have a body cam. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember something coming out about like ICE being forced to now wear body cams, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. I want more transparency in regards to what actually happens.
Too.
Yeah.
I'm pro body cam, okay? Because I think it makes people look dumb. Meaning the illegals.
100%.
But I'm saying is that action in itself is like surrendering ground to illegal immigrants, because what you're saying is now you are limiting your manpower pool to only like, okay, so let's just say you have 100,000 agents, right? Just hypothetically, and only 15 or 10,000 have body cams. Now you can't use the 90 other thousand agents, and they're going to be sitting doing either in the office or doing raids or something, and they're not going to be proactively out there looking for illegals.
Yeah,
So
if that's the way that it's
manpower
actually being effectuated, I would agree with you. That's horrible,
Yeah,
right? Which is why, like, if the sort of if the body cams could be permeated amongst the DHS very rapidly, I think that would be a good thing. But my suggestion instead, I mean, obviously I can't change anything, but it would be that it's going to be a new thing that's going to be implemented. So ICE is going to have to receive body cams ASAP, as soon as possible. But operations could still continue with people that don't have body cams, right? If that's the case. But I just don't know how fast they can get body cams, how quick everything works. Like, I don't know that information specifically. So
it's like a fulfillment thing. And the last thing. So hypothetical world again. Republicans win 28, they get President Marco Rubio, whoever, right? Doesn't matter. And let's say the policy continues and they continue deporting illegals, and at this point we're at like a couple million deported or whatever the number is, right? Do you have an issue with this goes to legal immigration? Do you have an issue with like, for example, Xbox the other week fired like 2,000 employees and replaced them with some H-1B ones? Do you have any issue with that?
It's funny because I've been an Xbox loyalist for so long. I've always been that like Xbox, not PlayStation type of guy. Like PlayStation.
For sure.
I heard they got like a new CEO as well. But no, I'm against that. I'm against that 100%. I think that H-1B it's not that it's just awful, but it's obviously it takes away from American jobs. The reason why corporations want to hire Indians instead of Americans here that are Americans is because they will accept a lower pay. They will accept a lower wage.
Okay.
And on top of that, they're easy to sort of, throw around because their visa, mostly speaking, is contingent on their employment here with a specific corporation that got him here. And so I feel like that's horrible. So the 2,000 new H-1B, awful, totally awful. I don't think they should be allowed to do it. And I'm glad that Trump increased, what was it? It went from like $1,000 to $100,000 in order for a corporation to bring some certain people on H-1B. But even
like
there's some issues with that.
$100,000 one-time fee, yeah.
Yeah, $100,000 one-time fee. I'm glad that he limited that to the most that he could. Yeah, I think it's horrible, man. I think it's horrible. Like, we have an issue with people that are graduating here in America with a bachelor's or with even like a master's who are struggling to find jobs. And so when people that are coming from India or coming from anywhere really that are able to come here and just sort of like take these jobs, no one's happy with that. And it's not just manual labor. You can't make the argument that it's like, well, it's manual labor and no Americans want their jobs. No, it's like these people are working for multi-billion-dollar corporations that are extremely wealthy, and these are high-paying jobs. Americans should have them. Simple. So that's my position on that.
Do you think if J.D. Vance gets elected in 28, do you think he'll continue that program? And yes, I'm asking because his wife's Indian.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying.
No, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I don't actually know. I know a lot of people have sort of been talking about like Vivek Ramaswamy and like his perspective on H-1B, and it's sort of like ambiguous to me actually because I haven't actually like heard him clear cut
the other day.
Yeah, I heard he got fried at like the Young America's convention or whatever because he by the way, what he said was horrible. He was like, our generation is good. This is not verbatim, but like, our generation is good. You guys are fucked.
You have to worry about
Yeah, and it's like, what the hell, dude? Like, what were you saying there?
Ridiculous.
So yeah. I don't know. Yeah, like, listen, I know that JD Vance's wife is Indian. Nothing wrong with that, but people are sort of asking, like, okay, culturally speaking, familially speaking, will that make him? I think this is where you're gauging at. Would that make him more? Yeah, would that make him more like sympathetic towards like H-1B programs? For,
because
like,
it did with the Xbox CEO. I mean, she's an Indian, so it's like.
I think she is actually, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a new one. Yeah.
So I don't know how much that would influence him. Listen, I'm not even a Vance guy to begin with. Like, I'm more of a Rubio guy. So
I'm not
not like
vote personally, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm more of a Rubio guy to begin with anyway. I'm not like really the biggest fans guy, but I think that would potentially influence him. I would have to like really know what his stance on H1B is if he's been asked that. So
Yeah.
do you know?
I just don't think. No, not really. I've done
Okay.
some research. My issue with Vance is that he's very flippy floppy on his
He
opinions.
is.
Like,
Yes.
for
True.
example, you know, we have the famous Trump thing. He hated him, now he loves him. Blah blah blah.
He can kind of seem
and-
perfidious. I like
Yeah.
he seems really perfidious. It always seems like he's not trying to just tell us where he really stands, and it seems like he's been
basically-
weaseling around a little bit. I don't know. That's my
He's a
perspective.
weasel,
but-
yeah. He changes his opinion
I don't
based
know.
on what is good for the time and if he can get elected. That's genuinely what I believe. But that was just my last question. I was more curious on your opinions and how that,
Okay.
because, you know, I'm not, I'll put it this way. Generally, you know, I don't support the Daily Wire or anything like that. I'm very against it.
Okay.
But, you know, it was nice having this conversation because I was very curious in your opinion.
No, thank you for the respectful conversation. I don't think that anyone should be obligated to support any institution or any company or anything like that. If you can have like a coherent sort of conversation, I can always respect intelligent conversations with people that disagree, because I always come off not necessarily like obviously disagreeing with my perspective, but I always learn more from people that are actually able to make and present arguments in a coherent fashion. And it's just overall like more productive. So thank you for having this conversation, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good day, bro.
All right, you too. Thank you. Peace. See that guy right there? That was a good conversation. I'm glad that he came in and was pretty respectful, and we were able to sort of have a good convo. Anyway, guys, that is going to conclude this episode of the Nuclear Reaction. I will see you guys all tomorrow for episode 16, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Peace out, and see you